Hi, I'm Mike Hanberger with Tricky Fast Studios, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to build a quest journal window using Cat Game Builder. By the end of this video, you should learn about data binding targets, grid layout bindings, and data binding to things other than values. We're going to be doing this in the context of the RPG example already in Cat, so open up the Cat RPG scene to follow along. Here's what you should end up with. We have a quest log window. It's listing the current quest that we're on, and it's got all the steps from the current stage. So if you look inside the conductor, under the quest service, we have a quest here, quest 01, and then we have two stages. Talk to NPC stage, which is not the one we're on, you can see it's not highlighted, and then the kill monster stage, which is highlighted because that's the one we're on. So if we open that up, we have 3 steps: find monster, kill monster, return to NPC, and those match up with these 3 steps here. None of them are completed, they're all active since they're all highlighted, so there's no check marks. If we do go over and complete one of the steps, we can see that we've completed both the find monster and the kill monster steps. The first thing we want to start off with is creating a steps prefab. You can find these prefabs already created in the RPG prefabs UI folder. So I've taken the liberty of pulling out all the data binding elements from this. On the step prefab, you can see we've got a vertical layout group, and then that's really it. Then we have a few things under it. One of them is stuff. So stuff has a horizontal layout group. We're also going to want to add a data bind based. Now you can see there's a bunch of different data binding components. Most of them are directed towards certain UI elements, but there's a few other types. So data bind base is what we want on this one. That really doesn't do anything. It just sets the binding, in this case, we're going to set it to owner. Next thing we have is a text here that's going to show the name of the quest. So we're going to add a text data bind. We're going to set the text value to bind to owner and then name. Now, if we look over here, this is on a step. So I'm going to open up a step here, and you can see the steps have a step name. And if you look in the code, they also have a property called name. And that uses the step name and gets the localized string, because the step name is a localized value. So what's interesting here is that we're not binding to some value in a value holder. We're binding to a property that's on a class. So next, let's take a look at this toggle. And for the toggle, we want to add a UI toggle data bind. And we want to bind this toggle value to owner is completed. Now, once again, that's not a value in a value holder. There's an is completed property. So we're binding directly to that. So that's really it for the step prefab. So you can save that. Next, let's take a look at the grid prefab. So for the grid prefab, we want to go over here, edit the text, which is the name text. And very similarly, we're going to add a UI text data bind. We're going to set the text value to owner, and we're going to bind it to name. So on the stage prefab, we're going to add a data bind base, and this time we're actually going to set what we're going to bind to. So we're going to bind to owner, but we're also going to add a reference name here, and we're going to put in current stage. So this means our owner in this case is going to be the quest, but we want to bind to the current stage. Now, once again, that's not a value on a value holder. If we come over here and we look in the quest, there's a current stage property here. That's going to return a stage. And that's what we're looking at. Now, under stuff, we want to add another data bind base, but this one can just bind to the owner. We need to have these because the data binding looks at the parents. So whatever the parent is bound to is what it will use for the basis of binding as the owner here. So under stuff, we have text. And once again, we're going to need a data bind text. And on that, we're going to look at owner and name again. On the steps layout, we're going to add a new thing we haven't seen yet. That's going to be a layout group data bind. This is a little bit special. It's what actually does the magic of displaying this UI. So what it's going to do here on a vertical layout group is you're going to give it a list of game objects. In this case, we're going to bind it to bindable steps. And you can find that in the stage under bindable steps. It just lists out all the steps. And then we have to give it a prefab. So what it's going to do is for each entry in that steps list, it's going to spawn a new prefab and assign the data binding target to that new step. So our list prefab here is going to be step prefab. This is how the layout actually works. For each step in this quest stage, it's going to create a new prefab, bind it to that step, and then that step will display as we did in the step prefab. So the only thing left now is to do another one of these UI grid data binds on the thing that actually displays all the quests. We can find that under the UI, the quest grid UI, there's a quest log, and then there's a quest grid. So one thing we have to do first is to just set this active. So let's go back to the quest grid, and we're going to add a layout group data bind. So on the quest service, there's a property called bindable quests. Let's go take a look at that. So in bindable quests, it's just going to go through each quest. If it's not active, it's going to just disqualify it. If it's not a quest, it's also going to disqualify it. Then it's going to add it. That's on the quest service. So we need to do this and drag in the quest service. And then set this to bindable quests. Next up, we need this list prefab, which is what it's going to instantiate for each quest. And for that, we're going to use the grid prefab that we made. And that should do it. Let's give it a try. Now, if we click on the quest log, we're going to see what we've done. Now, once again, if we look in the conductor in the quest service, you can see that the first quest is active, the amazing quest. Stage 2 is active, kill the monster, and there's 3 steps: find, kill, and return to NPC. So, as we're looking at this, you can kind of see how the UI data binding system works. So this quest grid binds to the actual quest service and its bindable quests. So that gets a list of quests. And for each quest, it's going to create a grid prefab. We have one quest, so it's created one grid prefab. And that grid prefab is bound to that quest. So over here, when we're binding to owner, see it's picking up quest 01. And that's where it gets this amazing quest name from. The stage prefab, if you remember, we set the bind to owner's current stage. So now everything that's it's bound to is under the stage 02 kill monster. So you can see on the steps layout that it's using owner, so stage 02 kill monster, and then it's looking at the bindable steps and creating a prefab for each step. And each prefab has the step as its bound owner, as you can see here. That's it. In this video, you should have built a working Data-Driven Quest Journal UI. I hope you found this video useful and informative. Let us know in the comments if there are other tutorials you'd like to see from us. And be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media for the latest videos and other news. For more information on CAT and how it can help you prototype and build games faster, please visit trickyfast.com/cat. I'm Mike Handberger with TrickyFast Studios. Thanks for watching.